Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite Average Good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Tony Miola and Charlie Davies. And we have a very special guest, a very special interview, because there's an American doing some very special things over in Germany. It is Mael Corboz who's on the show. Mal, thank you so much for joining us. And I just want to set this up by saying that you are the captain of Arminia Bielefeld. You are a third division team, even though I know the club has a rich history of playing at all levels over in Germany. And you're in the DFB-Pokal final against Stuttgart. Now, what I find interesting is that in the round of 32, you're like, oh, Union Berlin for Bundesliga? No problem. We took care of them. Freiburg, and after that, it's fine. We'll take care of them as well. Werder Bremen in the quarterfinals. And then Bayer Leverkusen in the semifinal. I mean, what are you guys eating for breakfast? What are you eating for lunch and dinner? What are you drinking? I mean, that is ridiculous run of games to book your ticket to the final.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me on. As I mentioned in the pre-show, I grew up watching all three of you, so this is pretty crazy. I'm a bit intimidated. I'm very rarely intimidated during podcasts or interviews. But yeah, it's been a crazy run. I think every round has been more surreal than the last, and obviously the pinnacle thus far has been the game against Bayer Leverkusen, where you play against guys that you watched in the Euros last year. Granit Xhaka had a great European Championship last year with Switzerland, and then all of a sudden you're going up to a header with him, and you're like, "What is going on here?" You're complaining to the ref; he's standing right there. You're like, "What the hell is this? What am I doing?" And then you end up winning the game. So it's been absolutely crazy. I think nobody even thought about this before this season. I think that would be ridiculous. And then every round you wake up the next day and you're like, maybe we could pull this off. And then it just keeps going. So it's been a dream run.
Well, first off, congrats on this run. Talk about what this means to the city. I just watched the highlights this morning of the quarterfinals and then the Leverkusen game. And in that Leverkusen game, I'm looking at there was a lady, I don't know, I'm going to guess she's like 70, 75 years old, like literally crying in the stands. Like what's it been like walking around the city, and what's the reception been to all of this?
So first of all, this city and this club has been through a lot in the past 3-4 years. So that's been crazy. First of all, I think it's been a roller coaster ride, and now having this sort of cup run, our the change in our destinies over the past few months has been ridiculous. I mean, I used to walk around the city and be completely, just a normal guy, or if somebody recognized me, they didn't really care. And then now it's quite, you always get a few looks and a few comments, and so it's been crazy. I think the connection between the club and the city is quite close. So I think that plays a huge role in it. And as I mentioned, the past few years with a few relegation battles and lost relegation battles, things are looking up for the city, and it was about time.
Talk to me about your influence within this team as captain on this magical run, as you're taking down these Bundesliga, top teams, especially when you get to Bayer Leverkusen in the semifinals. What has led to your success, not only as a team, but you individually?
I think what's true for me is also true for the team. So you approach these games with kind of a, we have nothing to lose mindset. And I think tactically, as well as in terms of mindset, we go into these games and we're like, all right, we have to go all in. So we press all of these teams high, which nobody does in the Bundesliga. And we try to force them into errors, and it works. I mean, the goals against, I think it was Bremen, our striker steals the ball and just scores, an incredible goal. We scored against Union Berlin the same way. They tried to play a triangle pass out of the back. The same player took the ball and chipped the goalie from 40 yards. So it's kind of like this mindset of just, all right, we're going all in. And if we lose, then that's the way it is. But if we want to win, we have to go all in. You have to take every possible risk and hope that it works out. And it's worked out. So, I think it's this kind of, we got nothing to lose mindset where you're forced to go all in, and things have gone our way. And obviously there's a bunch of things that come together for a cup run like this to work out. But I think on our side of things, we do a lot of things right. So it's been really like a huge team effort. Not only the players on the team, the coaching staff does an incredible job. I mean, they watched the Leverkusen before the Leverkusen game. They watched the 16 last Leverkusen games to analyze like which spaces do we have to exploit, who can we press. So they're unbelievable, and that's a young coaching staff that's gonna.
Who was the guy you had to press? Which player when you were looking at how Bayer Leverkusen built out of the back?
Yeah, so we basically decided to go 1v1 in terms of pressing. So we play defensively with 5 in the back. We have 2 midfielders, me and another guy, and we were with Shaka and Andrich, the guy who played for Germany last year too, which is crazy. So we were just pressing them 1v1, and we have a center back who's, a bit crazy, and he had to go to their 10 and kind of follow him everywhere. So it's pretty old school pressing, but it works because these teams are not used to being pressed like this. Most of the teams respect them so much that they don't even jump up and try to press high. And we kind of push these teams to make errors. And like I said, we've scored quite a few goals like that. Even the first round, we played against Hanover, which is a good second division team. And I think in the first half, we scored 2 goals from two balls that we stole in their first 30 meters or 30 yards. So that's the pressing situation, and a lot of the stuff we did in the cup we took into our league games as well, and it's working pretty well.
Mael, I feel like you're giving us all the secrets. I hope Stuttgart's not watching all this insight that you're giving away right now. Okay,
I don't think we can surprise anyone anymore, so they can hear me talk.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So as I mentioned at the start, Bielefeld in the 3rd division right now. You're on the precipice of getting promoted back into the 2nd Bundesliga, which obviously would be very exciting. I don't want to jinx anything, so you don't have to go anything into that right now. But no team from the 3rd tier has ever won the DFB-Pokal. 3 teams have made it in the past, but have never done it. And if you can find a way, and Bielefeld can find a way to beat Stuttgart in the final, you would be joining 4 previous Americans that have won it. Tyler Adams in 2022, Gio Reyna in 2021, Christian Pulisic in 2017, and Thomas Dooley in 1990. What would it mean? What would it mean for you to join that company? And I know that you have an American teammate in Isaiah Young as well, so he'd be part of that list as well.
Yeah, I mean, that list is crazy. So I can't even imagine joining that list. I don't have to say anything to those players. They've had completely different careers. But I think on an individual level, I mean, I'm 30 now. It would be something you'd like to talk about your career after your career, whether it's to your kids or to your family or wherever. To be able to say that you won the cup, I mean, even to say we made the final is unbelievable.
Yeah, you can say that now, man.
That's true.
Yeah, but I think winning the cup is legendary, not only in this city, but also for yourself, and I think that's probably the biggest motivating factor. So that list was was quite special, but I think it would be it still is, it already is the absolute highlight of my career, and I think it would just make it even bigger if we were able to pull off an upset. And I'd like to stress that because it is an upset. A lot of people are kind of like, oh, you guys have done the most difficult thing is to beat Leverkusen. The final should be fine. And I'm like, you guys, I mean, Stuttgart is crazy good. Stuttgart is crazy good. Let's all calm down. And I think that's the mood in Germany right now. Everybody is rooting for us, and everybody kind of thinks we're going to win. And I'm like, you guys forget the difference in leagues here.
Let's talk about this journey a little bit, because I'm fascinated. You're born in Mobile, Alabama, raised in the great state of New Jersey, where I was, all the way through the Red Bull system, through the USL, and then all of a sudden you're captain in your side. Like, how do you get from A to Z? I'm guessing your German is pretty good. And talk to us about the day the manager comes to you and says, Mel, you're going to be captain of this team.
Yeah, so I think my whole, not only my career, but the journey is kind of crazy. My parents are French. They moved to Alabama, which is a complete culture shock. A few years later, they moved to Jersey. I actually grew up playing under Tab Ramos at his academy on JSA, which was like, the most formative years that I had was with Tab. I mean, our training sessions were crazy, and we had a really good team. And then moved on to Red Bull. Did the whole college thing, first at Rutgers and then Maryland, was able to transfer to Maryland, which was a nice step as well. Then through the homegrown route, signed my homegrown contract with Red Bull. They told me to go play for the second team. I didn't really like the way that went down, so I said, you know what, I'm going to go check out something else in the USL, and went to Wilmington, which doesn't even exist anymore, but had, you know, the time of my life there. And the deal was, hey, play for us in Wilmington. If you do well, you can get a trial in Germany. And I grew up in, like, I'm American, of course, but I grew up in a very European household. And so playing in Europe was always like, you know, kind of the dream. I also grew up watching the Metro Stars and then the Red Bulls. So MLS was also a dream, but I had already kind of, you know, with the whole Red Bull story, I was like, I think I'm going to try something else. I didn't really see my future in the MLS at that point. And why not go for it? And I thought, you know, if it doesn't work out, you can tell everyone you lived in Germany for 2 years. You could learn the language, and you could, you know, that's the way it is. And that was in 2016. So I've been in Europe since then. I had a short stint in the Netherlands in between. So it's been a wild ride. It's been up and down. It's been crazy, but I think this is definitely the pinnacle. And yeah, becoming captain in Germany, first of all, coming to a foreign country where you don't speak a word of the language. My coach at the time didn't even speak English. So the first thing I did was try to learn German. I think that's like, for anyone playing in a foreign country, the first thing you should do to integrate into a team and also be part of a club is to learn the language. I mean, I know now the guys who come from a different country to us and don't make an effort to learn the language, for me, I almost write them off. I'm like, okay, you don't see your future here. And I think that's the first thing you have to do. So I learned German quite quickly. And then in my old club, I was already captain. So I did that for 2.5 years in the third division already. And then I moved to Arminia Bielefeld. And, you know, that was a club. I watched them 3 years ago in the Bundesliga and then in the second Bundesliga. And when they came knocking, I was like, I'm not going to miss this chance. You know, in Europe, there are big clubs that drop down through financial issues, relegation battles, whatever. I mean, Charlie, Sochaux is in third division now. But when you have the opportunity to jump on a train like that, you know they're going back up at some point. Those are big clubs. And so you have to hop on and catch get on that ride. And that was the decision to go to Bielefeld. And 6 months later, our you know, the club legend, the club captain for years and years, retired, and they said, yeah, you want to be captain. And I think that's an opportunity, that's a responsibility you can't turn down, and something that I like to do. It's an honor, it really is, and it comes with a bunch of challenges. I mean, you have a bigger club, fans that are crazy, that are very frustrated given the past few years, but now we're reaping the benefits, so it makes it very, very cool. I mean, everything has gone to plan, if I can say that thus far.
I absolutely love your story because it is unconventional. When you think about some of the hurdles for kids in this country to try and make their dream come true in terms of, you know, following this development path. And it's very scattered in the US right now, right? Between MLS academies and NECSL and, you know, NAL and, you know, so parents, kids, everyone's confused. Like, what's the right path? USL League One. And here you are captaining a side in a cup final. Imagine if you win, you are also in Europe, right? So you might be in Bundesliga too, if you get, you know, which I assume you guys will get promoted, but Bundesliga
easy,
I know. But let's say you win and you're in the third division, you're still playing in Europe. What a crazy story. So for you along this way, where have you seen your potential? Because I'm sure there are some real lows. You know, how did you overcome those lows? And then where you are now, do you still feel like there's room to grow? You know, now you've seen yourself against a Granit Xhaka. Where do you stack yourself? You know, and what ambition do you have left?
Yeah, that's a very stacked question. Yeah, I went to Maryland, and anyone who knows kind of the college landscape, especially 10 years ago, or I don't know how it is now. I can't speak too much to the developmental academy and the route through college, but at the time that was the normal way. And Maryland was one of the, I would say, top 5, and I think it still is, but historically definitely a top 5 program. And everyone who goes there and plays is like, I'm the best. I'm going to go pro. I'm going to go to the MLS. I'm going to do everything. So coming out of Maryland, that was my mindset. I knew Red Bull was stacked in midfield. I was, I knew the cards were stacked against me in that sense. And the worst case scenario happened to me. They wanted to put me on a second team contract. I would have rather gone to the draft. I had to sign the homegrown deal, whatever. And so when I look at that period, I'm like, okay, I didn't do everything right. But how can I learn from every difficult phase? So then I went to Germany. In Germany, my first club was Duisburg. We were in third division. We were in first place the whole season. We got promoted to second division. I didn't play a single game in the third division. So every day I was like, what the hell am I doing here? So your whole life, you're the soccer player who's good. You know how it is in the US. You grow up, you're the local hero. You're the soccer player. Everyone knows you as a soccer player because there are not that many of them. And all of a sudden you're in a foreign country and everyone around the club is looking at you like, that's the guy who doesn't play. So he must suck. And then I'm like, what am I doing here? And I went down to fourth division after that because I was like, I need to play. I was 22, 23 at the time. So not that young, especially in Europe. I need to play and I need to find a way to have fun playing soccer again. And that was the best decision I made. I went down to the fourth division for a year and a half and kind of fought my way out. There was a lot of hate, a lot of rage in the way I trained and the way I really grinded hard every day to try to make it back at a level that I could respect. Because going to Maryland, you don't hope to finish in the fourth division in Europe. That's the way, that's not the way I was thinking. And then I had the chance to go to the Netherlands, second division, had a great time. And then the chance to go back to Germany where I still had the feeling I really have something to prove. I want to show everyone in Germany that I'm not that bad. Trust me. So I think I knew what my potential was. I think especially early in my career, mentally, I wasn't strong enough. I couldn't deal with, I was very sensitive to what other people thought of me. And when you get the external feedback all the time that you're not that good or that you're not, I remember our sporting director in Duisburg was like, yeah, you're not bad, but you think too slow. I don't think you're going to make it in third division. And I remember that. And I was like,
we told Jimmy that his whole career.
Look at me. Look how
Jimmy
far I
still
got.
had a great career.
Thank you. Thank you, Mal. I appreciate that. Thank you. Slow thinker.
And I played against the same sporting director last week. And he was like, unbelievable, the development you've had, like the way your whole career has gone. And those are things that fueled me over the years. And also, recognizing that mentally I probably wasn't at the level at the time and trying to learn out of every difficult phase I went through. That was the biggest step I could make. I think the mental aspect of like competing every day is easy. I think believing in yourself every day is not easy. And I think that was the biggest thing I needed at a young age. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I don't, it doesn't work out all the time now either. But I think I've definitely gotten better, and that comes with age, that comes with experience, whatever. But I think it's so important. And there are guys that just have it because they don't think too much, or they just think they're the coolest guys ever. I wasn't like that. I'm still not like that. So I think that's the biggest jump I can make. I don't think I'm going to get faster now. I don't think I'm going to be able to jump higher. Technically, I think I'm good. I'm good enough to play in Europe as well. That was something we worked on when I was younger. And the rest, I think the biggest jumps I can make are mental. So for me, my ambitions now until the end of my career, I think I can play, or I'd like to say I know I can play second division. I'd like to prove that. I'd like to prove myself that as well. And I think that's a level where after my career, I can look back and be like, yeah, I think I got almost everything out of my career. You all know how, sometimes details decide what, which route a career takes. And so when those opportunities come, you got to take them. And so that's my ambition now, is to get into the second league and, play a good role in the second division. And then who knows, I'd like to keep the options open, wherever it goes, but those are my ambitions now. I think the cup, it would be a lie to say that the cup was a planned ambition. That's just, a lot of things coming together. And
yeah, you earned it.
Yeah,
you earned
the
it.
cherry on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is the cherry on top.
Right. Well, one thing we didn't add is that if you win the DFB-Pokal, you book your ticket to the Europa League group stage phase, that would be even more next level for Arminia Bielefeld. All right, last question before we let you go, Mal. Best jersey swap. It's tradition here. Call it what you want. we want to know your best jersey swap story. I don't know if you got something for Bayer Leverkusen in the last round in the semifinals, or if you have another one, or it can be flipped. Did you ask someone of prominence for a jersey and they gave you the old, nah, I'm sorry, I'm giving it to my grandma, or the other stories or excuses we've heard in the past?
So it's a tough scenario, right? Because before the game, you don't want to be talking about whose jersey you're going to get. You want to be talking about who you're going to beat. And so the week before the Leverkusen game, I remember with the other midfielder, we were talking, we both wanted Xhaka's jersey. And he was like, bro, you're the oldest on the team. You're the captain. You get Xhaka's jersey. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting Xhaka's jersey. Like that's, I'm an Arsenal fan too. It's an ex-Arsenal player.
Yes.
I'm getting that jersey. And after the game, the issue was it was just hectic. The fans stormed the pitch. I couldn't find any Leverkusen player. My mind was in a different planet anyway. So I was going nuts too. Everybody was going nuts. And afterwards, when we got back in the locker room, I asked their kit man for a jersey. I was like, give me Xhaka or Nordi Mukiele, who's French and who had a few caps for the national team. So that would have been good too. Xhaka's jersey had disappeared. I don't know where, but I got Mukiele's jersey, which was cool. And I also got, when we played against Union Berlin, I got Jordan, I'm going to butcher his name, Sibachu's jersey, the striker. He's also he's French-American. He has a few caps as well for the U.S. He was a really nice guy. I actually got to talk to him, and we had just beaten them. I don't want to say he didn't care, but he stayed friendly after the game. So yeah, those are my two jersey swaps. I didn't swap against Freiburg. I didn't swap against Bremen. So
those are good
unfortunately, didn't get the Xhaka jersey.
Jimmy lied to you because I got more questions here.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, look, you got a younger sister, right? Rachel, I believe her name is, plays in France as well. How about a little bit of pressure from your older sister, Daphne, who plays for Paris FC, who has won a French Cup now? So what's the conversation like in and around that WhatsApp chat that you got going on?
Oh, it's only love. It's only love. I mean, they won the cup last weekend. My parents flew from Jersey to Paris to see the game. They beat PSG in penalty kicks. So crazy story. The club's first trophy there as well. No pressure. Just, it would be an incredible coincidence if we did the same thing. But I think we all appreciate each other's successes. When we were younger, there was competition. Everyone wanted to be the best in the family. Everybody wanted the most height. High school soccer, you wanted to be in the newspaper more often than your sisters. And nowadays, it's a bit different. I mean, my older sister played Champions League this year. So, I think she's won up to me over her whole career. Yeah, and my little sister plays First Division in France as well. So they've one up to me. Yeah, so I can't match up to them.
and my last question, and this is something that I think would be interesting from your perspective. What are your thoughts as captain for Arminia Bielefeld? What are your thoughts on this U.S. men's national team currently? What are they lacking? What have you seen from them? Because
we're opening up a whole new podcast, Chuck. This is a whole other episode.
I'm just from your viewpoint, like what are you seeing?
I think at least what I've read, there have been a lot of people, and I think Tyler Adams said something too, that have been questioning their mentality, their intensity, their love for the jersey, so to speak, or for their country. I think this generation has more good top players in Europe than ever before. And I don't really, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I'm not at all doubtful that they're going to get their shit together before the World Cup, because that team is too good, and there's nothing more motivating than playing a World Cup at home, at least I would imagine. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're going to pull something special off. There are just too many good players there.
I like that. Answer your question short and sweet. Brevity is an art form that Mael has mastered. I absolutely love that. Well, Mael, thank you so much for your time. Good luck. May 24th, everyone, against Stuttgart in Berlin, the DFB-Pokal final. We are all pulling for you and Bielefeld to pull off the miracle, have a third division team win that tournament for the first time, in the history of that competition, and to book your ticket to the Europa League. There's so many good things, and we hope you get promoted to the second division. It's all happening for you, Mal. All the best. Thank you so much for coming on. You're the man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time, and it was great to speak to you guys.